128 people have been detained after protests on Capitol Hill in Washington. They had been demonstrating against Trump's nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, who's facing allegations of sexual misconduct. The protesters are calling for Judge Kavanaugh's appointment to America's highest court to be blocked. And many were wearing T-shirts emblazoned with slogans like "Be a Hero" and "We Believe in Women." It comes ahead of a Thursday hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, which he strongly denies.
I'm not going to let false accusations drive us out of this process, and we're looking for a fair process.
Brett Kavanaugh's first accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, says he sexually assaulted her while they were at high school. The second, Deborah Ramirez, claims Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a Yale University party in the 1980s. And a third is also expected to come forward this week. Now, the allegations, of course, have outraged the Democrats, who also want Kavanaugh's appointment to be blocked.
This was attempted rape.
I believe Professor Ford, Judge Kavanaugh has lied multiple times.
Doesn't Kavanaugh have the same presumption of innocence as anyone else in America?
His credibility is already very questionable in my mind and in the minds of a lot of my fellow Judiciary Committee members, the Democrats.
You think Kavanaugh's lying, though, is what you're saying?
I believe her. Let's put it that way. There's credibility to her story.
Donald Trump has claimed the accusations against his nominee are unsubstantiated and politically motivated.
I am with Judge Kavanaugh, and I look forward to a vote, and for people to come out of the woodwork from 36 years ago and 30 years ago and never mention it, all of a sudden it happens. In my opinion, it's totally political. It is totally political.
And so we put the story up for debate.
Why in the world are these two women pleading with the FBI to get involved, whereas Judge Kavanaugh is like, no, thanks, I actually don't want the FBI involved? I mean, ask yourself, just as a matter of common sense, if somebody's telling the truth and somebody's not, which person is the one asking for law enforcement authorities, whom if you lie to, you can be prosecuted for a crime?
It's a little misleading because it's not up to Kavanaugh. He's not saying no FBI. That only comes from the White House or the Judiciary Committee, so that's not accurate. Number two, there have been 6 FBI investigations into Kavanaugh's background. 6! My goodness, enough is enough.
Listen, the fact of the matter is Donald Trump has had 17 women come out of the woodwork saying that he sexually abused them. And he says all of them are liars. So, of course, he's going to accuse them of lying. You know who else said people were lying? Harvey Weinstein said all the women were lying. And Roger Ailes said all the women were lying. I mean, people we now know committed some pretty heinous stuff. All of them said the women were lying, too. So was that political? All those women who ultimately complained that they were being harassed? No. They just wanted some justice. And that's all that Christine Blasey Ford wants, is some sense of justice. That's all.
The Senate has questioned 4 witnesses that the first accuser brought up as witnesses. Under threat of perjury, not one of them corroborates her story. And this second accuser, not one witness corroborates her story. Further, the New York Times investigated for a week this second accuser and her story, and they couldn't find one person who knew what she was talking about. Yet the Democrats are saying, guilty. This is an outrage.
From the president on down, basically saying, this woman is making it up. These women are making it up. It's political. It didn't happen, right? That's basically what he's saying, is it didn't happen. And we know, as a matter of statistics, what high percentage of women are subject to some sort of sexual assault or sexual harassment. And every single one of them, most of whom, like Christine Blasey Ford, did not talk about it because they were embarrassed. They didn't want their family to know. They didn't want their friends to know. They were the subject of this, and yet it was a source of embarrassment to them. Basically, what the president and his cronies in Congress are saying is, you're lying. You lied to your therapist 6 years ago when you made this up. Why in the world would she have done that? not knowing that Brett Kavanaugh was going to be a nominee to the Supreme
Richard,
Court.
the
Why?
therapist,
In the world? Yeah.
notes, the therapist notes show that she claimed there were 4 witnesses in the room. She says, oh no, the therapist took the notes wrong. There were 2. So give me a break with what she told the therapist. Cory Booker, who's a senator, a Democrat from New Jersey, who sits on the Judiciary Committee, in 1992 wrote an article in a Stanford College newspaper saying he groped a woman's breasts against her wishes. Keith Ellison, who's the assistant chair of the DNC and is running for Attorney General of Minnesota, is accused by his girlfriend of sexual abuse. And nobody on the Democratic side cares one bit. Explain that, Richard.
Morning.
This is what we call whataboutism. In other words, if you have something that you can't really defend, you say, well, what about this one? What? And you know what?
I've
Nobody's
defended
putting
it quite
Cory
well.
Booker on the Supreme Court anytime soon. Nobody's putting Keith Ellison on a 9-person Supreme Court for the rest of his life, rendering decisions that will affect every single American.
Okay. If witnesses and evidence that we have not seen comes to light, credible evidence, then I guess the president would withdraw the nomination and we'll get another conservative in there. And then I'm sure the Democrats will put out the call for more women. But I don't see that happening.